Satoshi Nakamoto, the supposed name of the person or persons who created Bitcoin, has never come forward since the creation of Bitcoin in 2009, and it doesn't look like they will anytime soon. The mysterious figure has left us with many questions. Questions like, who is Satoshi Nakamoto, why did they create Bitcoin, and what would happen if they decided to sell? In today's video, we're going to answer the question of who created Bitcoin and what would happen if their Bitcoin moved. If you're interested in finding out more about Bitcoin, make sure to subscribe for more Bitcoin education. There's been a lot of speculation over the years about who exactly created Bitcoin. Some people believe that it was just one person, while others think it was a group. There have been many guesses as to who this person or group could be, but no one knows for sure. However, there is some evidence that suggests that it may not matter who created Bitcoin. The real question is, what happens if Satoshi Nakamoto decides to cash out? Well, let's take a look at everything you need to know about who created Bitcoin and what would happen if their coins were to move. So who created Bitcoin? Now, when it comes to who actually created Bitcoin, it's hard to say for sure. We know that the person or persons behind the creation of Bitcoin released a 9-page white paper describing how it worked and why it was needed. But even still, no one knows who this person or group is. They seem to have vanished without a trace. Now, there are a few theories as to who could be behind the creation of Bitcoin. Some believe that it was Hal Finney, a computer programmer who worked on early cryptography. Others believe it could have been Nick Szabo, another computer programmer who also worked on early cryptography. Still, others believe that it could have been a group of people from the cypherpunk movement, a group of activists who believe in using cryptography to protect civil liberties. However, no one knows for sure who created Bitcoin. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter. The important thing to remember is that anyone can create a currency. All it takes is a little bit of math and computer science knowledge. And that's exactly how Bitcoin was created. Satoshi Nakamoto simply wrote down a set of rules for how Bitcoin would work, and then programmed a computer to follow those rules. That's it. Anyone can do it. In fact, there are already dozens of cryptocurrencies out there that have been created by unknown individuals or groups. For example, Monero was created by an unknown person or group, and there are dozens of other cryptocurrencies that have been created by unknown individuals or groups. This means that anyone can create a currency. It doesn't require any special permission from the government or any other authority. And that's exactly how Bitcoin was created. So what would happen if their Bitcoin moved? Now that we've established that anyone can create a currency, it's time to answer the question of what would happen if Satoshi Nakamoto decided to cash out. Now, there's no doubt that if Satoshi Nakamoto decided to sell their Bitcoin, it would cause a major shakeup in the market. In fact, it would probably cause the price of Bitcoin to plummet. This is because there are currently an estimated 1 million Bitcoins controlled by Satoshi Nakamoto. And if they were to sell all of them, it would take months, if not years, for the market to absorb that much Bitcoin. However, it is important to remember that just because Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin doesn't mean they own all of it. In fact, they only own about 1% of all Bitcoin in circulation. The rest of the Bitcoins were mined by other people. So even if Satoshi Nakamoto sold their entire stash of Bitcoin, it wouldn't do much to affect the overall price. But what if Satoshi Nakamoto didn't sell their Bitcoin? What if they just moved it? Well, this too would cause a major shakeup in the market. You see, when Bitcoin is moved from one wallet to another, it sends a signal to the market. This can cause the price of Bitcoin to fluctuate wildly, which could lead to panic selling or buying. So if Satoshi Nakamoto decided to move their Bitcoin, it would definitely cause some problems for the market. But would it be the end of Bitcoin? No, absolutely not. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency. This means that it's not controlled by any government or financial institution. Even if the price of Bitcoin were to drop dramatically, it would eventually recover. Bitcoin is still a valuable asset, continues growing in popularity, and it's not going anywhere. Here's a quick recap. First, we talked about who created Bitcoin and why it doesn't matter. We also discussed what would happen if Satoshi Nakamoto decided to sell their Bitcoin, and what would happen if they simply moved it. If you want to continue learning about Bitcoin, consider subscribing to join the monetary revolution. Click here to watch the next video.